Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include rumors of a resurgence of Deus Ex now that Eidos is free of Square Enix, Microsoft and Sony fighting like a couple of grade schoolers, the reveal of the new Path of Exile expansion, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Now, before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a meal kit service that delivers fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to your doorstep in order to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And I've been living off HelloFresh for like 8 months now. Seriously, I love HelloFresh. These are all the HelloFresh meals that I've cooked. Easily over 100 unique recipes at this point. And I take photos every time. These are all my own pictures of my HelloFresh meals that I've cooked. HelloFresh offers a variety of delicious recipes to choose from each week to appeal to different tastes or dietary preferences, packed with fresh produce that arrives when it's at peak freshness and flavor. I love having home-cooked food. I love having delicious food. And HelloFresh basically lets you prepare restaurant-quality meals at home without having to pay restaurant prices. I've been making an effort to eat healthier in the past year, so I always pick from HelloFresh's low-calorie or low-carb options, and I'm consistently impressed by how delicious and filling these healthy meals are. Depending on your goals, they have veggie options, pescatarian, fit and wholesome meals so that you can eat well without sacrificing flavor. HelloFresh has made my life so much easier. I used to spend so much time on meal planning, then finding recipes, making grocery lists, going grocery shopping. HelloFresh sends exactly the portion of ingredients you need, so I'm not wasting money or food by buying more than I need. So use my link or go to hellofresh.com and use code POGRIKERAUG16, that's POGRYKKAUG16, for 16 free meals across 7 boxes plus 3 surprise gifts. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. In some quick news, vampire survival game V Rising has reached 2.5 million units sold since its early access release back in May. That's quite an accomplishment for the small Swedish dev team of only about 30 employees, Stunlock Studios, who were previously known for the MOBA Battlerite. It's not quite Valheim levels of success, but it's not too far behind. If the devs are able to release significant updates in a timely manner, that 2.5 million can easily double or quadruple over the next couple of years. In other news, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has gotten a new lead writer. Also, yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is apparently still in development after 15 years. The original Beyond Good and Evil was released in 2003, and despite getting critical acclaim and a cult following, it was considered a commercial failure. Rumors about a sequel started to spring up in 2007, and a sequel was officially teased by Ubisoft in 2008. In 2009, a leaked trailer made its way around the internet and was acknowledged as authentic by the devs. It was then almost 10 years later, 2017, before Beyond Good and Evil 2 was officially announced at E3, being a prequel to the first game. It was also revealed that the initial footage from 2008 and 2009 was when the game was going to be a sequel before they basically rebooted the game and decided to make a prequel instead. The latest news now is that Sarah Arellano has revealed that she's the new lead writer on the project. Some people interpret this to mean that the story is getting rebooted once again. However, it could simply mean that the previous lead writer left because, well, it's been a long time. At the very least, this dispels rumors that the game was cancelled, though it does not confirm that the game will ever release. In other news, Farthest Frontier has entered early access. The game is from Crate Entertainment, the developers of the quality ARPG Grim Dawn, and while this is the farthest thing from an ARPG, being a survival city builder, the devs have certainly built up enough goodwill with their years of support for Grim Dawn, and early reviews of Farthest Frontier are very positive. If you're at all interested, it's worth checking out, and if you have checked it out, sound off in the comments with your thoughts. In some PC gaming news, NVIDIA seems to be projecting that they will be making less money than they initially expected in the second quarter of fiscal year 2023. They were initially projecting 8.1 billion, and preliminary results are now suggesting it'll be only 6.7 billion. Why are they making less money, you may ask? Well, according to them, it's due to, quote, lower sell-in of gaming products reflecting a reduction in channel partner sales, likely due to macroeconomic headwinds. That's a fancy way of saying the crypto market has crapped the bed. Yes, they said gaming products, as in their gaming video cards, but those cards are used en masse in cryptocurrency mining. And so for a long time, the crypto boom meant people were buying up video cards as investments. Now that crypto isn't doing so well, people are instead selling off their cards to try to recoup their money. Hopefully this will mean a reduction in price for consumers. In other news, Marvel's Midnight Suns has been delayed once again. The tactical RPG was originally slated for an October 7th launch, but now has been pushed back to later in the fiscal year, which ends March 2023. This is the second delay. The game was originally slated to be launched within the previous fiscal year, so by March 2022. I'm a bit concerned because it seems as though the marketing campaign for this game had already begun, with tactical RPG streamers doing sponsored content for the game. It feels like it would take something major to delay the game once you're already starting to pay people to play it. I really do hope this one works out, because I really like the dev Firaxis. I loved their XCOM reboot. It was my game of the year in 2012. And to put that in context, 2012 is the year that Diablo 3 came out. So that's how much I liked XCOM. In some Deus Ex news, according to rumors, Eidos Montreal may be returning to the franchise. These rumors come from industry insider Jeff Grubbs, who says that there are early internal discussions about a sequel, and that the studio is eager to return to the franchise. He said, quote, "It's early. The rumbling I've heard is that the studio wants to immediately get into Deus Ex. They want to get right back into that. They want to challenge. They want to do what Cyberpunk 2077 couldn't. And stuff like that. That's the word going around. We'll see if that happens. It's so early. Like, what that will turn into. But there was no possibility for that conversation to begin under the current Square Enix, right? As a reminder, Square Enix sold off Eidos and its IPs earlier this year to Embracer Group. Deus Ex Human Revolution released in 2011 to widespread critical acclaim, and Deus Ex Mankind Divided released in 2016 to generally favorable reviews. By May of 2022, the two games had sold a combined 12 million units, which wasn't enough to make Square Enix happy. In fact, one can argue that Mankind Divided didn't do as well as Human Revolution due to Square Enix's meddling. They seem to be implicated in a controversial pre-order marketing campaign that received negative backlash, and the released game was criticized for its microtransactions as well, which could have also been the publisher's influence. Allegedly, Square had also ordered the game to be split up into two games, which explains Mankind Divided's abrupt ending. Some said it felt like a game that was cut in half and were waiting for the other half. And a dev allegedly basically confirmed that Square Enix made them do that, split the dev team and work on two games at once. So a sequel was being worked on at the same time as Mankind Divided, and it presumably was never finished due to disappointing sales, at which point Square moved Eidos into a support studio for Crystal Dynamics' Tomb Raider reboot. And while it's been a long time since the hit Human Revolution, 11 years to be precise, it seems Jean-François Zugat, who was game director on both Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, is still at the studio, since he was also the game director of 2021's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a great game, and if you've heard otherwise, it's because you're confusing it with Marvel's Avengers, made by sister studio Crystal Dynamics, whose overwhelmingly negative reception massively harmed gamers' desires to even give Guardians of the Galaxy a chance. And speaking of Square Enix, Bulkhead Interactive, developer of Battalion 1944, has announced that it has formally ended its relationship with publisher Square Enix. The dev stated that they were deeply disappointed that their game was never published on console, and that they're going to be refunding all console Kickstarter backers because of that. They'll be releasing an improved version of their game for free on Steam on August 16th under the name Battalion Legacy. Meanwhile, an ad for Square Enix's upcoming action game Forspoken is being relentlessly mocked on the internet with tons of parody videos. Here's part of the original.
So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Earth. I'm seeing freaking dragons, and oh yeah, I'm talking to a cuff.
And here are some parodies.
So let me get this straight.
So let me get this straight.
So let me get this straight.
I'm somewhere that's not what I would call England.
I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Brooklyn.
I'm somewhere after the end of the Cold War.
I'm seeing freaking werewolves.
I'm seeing giant freaking turtles.
I'm fighting freaking mobile bipedal nuclear launch systems.
And oh yeah, I'm talking to a doll.
And oh yeah, I'm talking to a hat.
And I'm talking to
An anime fan?
Am I too late to jump on this train? So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Middle Earth. I'm seeing freaking demons. And oh yeah, I'm talking to Diablo, Lord of Terror! The game is actually one that I have been hyped for. I do hope it turns out to be good. In unrelated news, Square Enix has reported their first quarter financial results, and net sales are down 15.5% year over year. In some Path of Exile news, we got the full reveal of upcoming expansion Lake of Kalandra this week. The expansion includes the Kalandra Challenge League, improvements to the Atlas endgame, 4 new gems, 14 new unique items, buffs to over 100 existing uniques, revamps to Harvest, Beyond, and Arch Nemesis, a bunch of balance changes, and more. In the Kalandra Challenge League, while you're playing, you'll sometimes run into a mirrored tablet. You click on this, and this opens up an interface that is basically a game board to build your Lake of Kalandra encounter. You assign tiles called reflections into empty spots on the board, and once you have filled in each spot, you can then open a portal to the lake and fight the encounters you've assembled. If Metamorph League was Build a Boss, Lake of Kalandra is Build a League. It actually feels similar to the old Synthesis League, which I thought was a really cool idea, building out this meta game board. And while that league didn't exactly seem to be a fan favorite, it's almost like they took the core idea back to the drawing board and came back with an idea that removed the issues that people had with Synthesis. The Kalandra League also introduces a cool new mechanic for rare jewelry. You'll get to see 2 versions of a piece of jewelry, one a reflection of the other, with identical but opposite stats. And you'll have to pick which one you want. So 30% increased cold damage becomes 30% decreased cold damage, which may be fine for you if you're not a cold build. So you're going to end up with an item that has positive affixes and negative affixes. And those positive affixes are going to be particularly powerful. So you're going to want to find something that is working for your build without nerfing your build or nerfing it too much. The reworks of the past league mechanics look solid, particularly Harvest and Arch Nemesis. Also revealed this week was the fact that developer GGG has now started hosting the player-run wiki for the game on their servers so that the volunteers don't have to incur the server hosting costs. The wiki will remain community-run, GGG is just covering the hosting costs, but they are open to potentially helping provide data for the wiki in the future. Meanwhile, Sony and Microsoft seem to have an ongoing tiff over Microsoft's desire to buy Activision Blizzard. We spoke about this last week, with Sony claiming that the acquisition would prevent fair competition in the market, particularly if they were to eventually make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, which could sway the console wars since Call of Duty is such a massive franchise. Sony is hoping legislators will thus block the acquisition from going through. This week, Microsoft has reiterated that it has no plans to turn existing franchises into Xbox exclusives, and claimed that it wouldn't even be profitable to make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive. In a document sent to legislators, Microsoft defended themselves with a bit of sass thrown at Sony. Quote, "Regardless of how unsurprising Sony's criticism of content exclusivity is, given that PlayStation's entire strategy has been centered on exclusivity over the years, the reality is that the strategy of retaining Activision Blizzard's games by not distributing them in rival console shops would simply not be profitable for Microsoft." And then, almost as if in retaliation, Microsoft has accused Sony of paying developers to not put their games on Xbox Game Pass. Legally, they're accusing Sony of, quote, "inhibiting growth" of Gamer Pass. Quote, "Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been obstructed by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services." Now, I'm no legal expert here, far from it, but isn't that not, like, illegal? How does that not break antitrust laws? To literally pay people to not use the competitor's products. If not illegal, it's at the very least massively unethical. And it's anti-competitive behavior. That's not benefiting the consumer. And speaking of anti-consumer, in some loot box regulation news, a new study has found that Belgium's loot box ban is barely enforced. It was in 2018 that the Belgian Gambling Commission ruled that loot boxes are a form of gambling. They recommended criminal prosecution against devs and publishers who implement them without abiding by gambling laws. However, research has shown that many companies have ignored the ban. 82 of the 100 highest-grossing Belgian iPhone games in May of 2021 had loot boxes in them. The researcher, Leon Xiao, concludes that the law isn't working and should be reconsidered. A ban doesn't do much if it's mostly just a guideline. In some quick Diablo fan news, Redditor Mysteris made remastered versions of the Diablo 1 hero portraits using Artbreeder and Photoshop, and the results are fantastic. These really feel like faithful upscales of the original. In Diablo 3 news, we didn't get to squeeze it into last week's video, but we got the end date for Diablo 3's current season, August 21st. This means that it's very likely that Season 27 will begin on Friday, August 26th, though it may also be the following Friday, September 2nd. The past few seasons have all had 5 days between season end and the season start, and in the past it would be, 12 days? Yeah, the following Friday. The official preview post for Season 27 will come soon, and we'll be uploading build videos in preparation of the season, with a tier list video coming closer to season launch. We've already got a video covering the season theme, be sure to check that out. New and exciting items. I think this is going to be one of the most interesting seasons ever. It's definitely in my top 3. And we've already got 2 build videos out, one for the Bullet Hell 10 magic missiles every fraction of a second wizard build, as well as the crazy Vortex Whirlwind Hammer the Ancients Barbarian. Then in some other Diablo-related news, much sadder news, Travis Day, former senior game designer on Diablo 3, has passed away this week. He was only 41 years old. He was with Blizzard from 2005 to 2018. He was one of the more prominent devs left on Diablo 3 after the release of Reaper of Souls. He played a big part in improving the game post-launch. His sister, in a public post on Twitter, said that he was loved greatly by friends and family, and will be deeply missed. I personally remember when I'd see him at events, and he always had this subdued, cool guy aura. The shaved head and the goatee, and he always seemed to have some badass jacket on. But it always felt as though there was this gentle spirit behind it all. Travis Day was also known by his gamer tag Indalamar, which was his World of Warcraft character before he joined Blizzard. And if you spell Indalamar backwards, that is Ramaladni, as in the D3 item, Ramaladni's gift, because it is named after him. So every time you get one of those to drop, take a quick moment and remember that it's named after Travis Day. And that is going to wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video in which we discussed how Microsoft said Activision Blizzard games are not unique, and discussed how Blizzard and NetEase may be breaking up. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you saw on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.